says to use the calculator to solve problems 4 through 10, but we're going to use the calculator on your neck. A post office can process 1,300 pieces of mail in 8 hours. Get a picture of that. They have 1,300 pieces of mail, and in 8 hours' time they can distribute it all. Okay? To the nearest whole number, how many pieces of mail can the post office process in 1 hour? How are you going to figure out how many they can do in 1 hour if they can do 1,300 in 8 hours? Divide by? Divide what? What's being divided up? The mail, right? And it's been divided into 8 hours, right? And they say to the nearest whole number. Now this is the first time something like this has come up, and I wanted it to come up so I can explain to you there. It means that your answer is not going to end. You're going to have a remainder. When you have a remainder, as we showed yesterday, you're going to add a decimal point and a zero and bring it down, because if you think about money, you may not be able to give them any more dollars, but you can give them some dimes and some pennies, you see. So you're going to put that decimal point there, and you're going to go at least to the dimes, because when they say to the nearest whole number, remember that in decimals, the whole number is here, and then the decimals are there. So that means you're going to, what they're saying is that when you start dividing this into this, when you get a number here, when you come down here, you're going to still have something here. Okay? So they're saying don't leave it here. Add a decimal point and a zero, bring it down, and then divide into that, and you're going to get an answer here. Now, when you deal with decimals, a lot of times they're going to have you round it off, because the number may just keep on going. It may never end in a decimal. It may never go into it evenly. So they'll say, to the nearest tenth, tell us the answer. To the nearest hundredth, give your answer. To the nearest whole, give your answer. Okay? Wherever they want you to stop the answer, you always have to work it one place further. Because when you round off a number, you remember yesterday we talked about in the decimal system, it takes 10 of these to make one of these, 10 of these makes one of these, and we kept on going down the line. Then if you have 5 of them, that's half of what you need to make another one. So they're saying if I have at least 5 of these, when I only had 2 holes, if you wanted me to round it off to the nearest whole, I could say I have about 3. If this is 5 through 9, means you almost have enough to make another one, okay? If this is 0 through 4, then you just say I only have 2. So if they wanted you to round off to the nearest hundredth, I'd have to work the problem to thousandth, because this number determines whether this stays a 7 or if it goes up to an 8 as my final answer. So you always look to the right, because it's going to take 10 of these to make one of these. If I have half of them, I can say, well, I have about 38. But since I don't have half, I just have about 37 hundredths, if they tell me to round it off to the nearest hundredth, you see. If they wanted me to round it off to the nearest thousandth, I have to take it one step further. Always one more. Because they want me to stop it here at thousandths. But I need to know, do I just have 3 thousandths or do I almost have 4? Well, here I almost have 4, because I got 7 of these and it only takes 10. So my answer would be, if they wanted me to round it to the nearest thousandth. Follow? Round that number to the nearest whole number. What is it? To the nearest whole number. What is the number next to the whole numbers place?
1.
Where is the whole numbers place? Here, right? There's none here. I want to know, do I almost have $1? Where do I look? Here. Is this enough to give me $1? That's a 3. So if they ask me to round this off to the nearest whole number, it will be 0. I don't have enough to make $1. If they ask me to round this to the nearest tenth, what would my answer be? 4/10. Because this 7 would make this go up. If they ask me to round it off to the nearest hundredth, what would my answer be? 37/100. Because the 4 would not make it go up. If they ask me to round this to the nearest thousandth, what would my answer be? Say it again? 374 thousandths, because this 2 is not big enough to make that a 5. If they told me to round it off to the nearest 10,000th, my answer would be what? 3,740, how many? 3, you see? Because that 7 would make this go up to 3. This 8 would make this go up to 8. I couldn't round this off because I don't have something over here. I don't know if I have enough to make this a 9. So they couldn't say round it off to the nearest million, because I'd have to take it to the 10 millions to do that, okay? But they will always ask, when you're doing a decimal problem, round off to the nearest something, because it has to tell you where to stop. If I am dividing, let's say this, and I'd say, well, it goes in there 3 times. Okay. Goes in there 3 times. Goes in there. It's going to keep being 3, 3, 3, 3. See what I'm saying? And so they'll have to tell you to stop at some place, or you could be all night and still not ever get to the end of that answer. They'd have to tell you where to stop, because the answer is not just 3.33, because you still got some left, you see. They have to tell you where to round it off. Okay? So in this case, they said to the nearest whole number. How many pieces can they do in an hour? And how many pieces did you come up with?
163.
Did everybody get 363, or are you still working it?
163.
I got 163.
Oh, 163. Everybody get 163? Okay, no questions. Find the cost of 1.15 pounds of cheese that costs $6.49 per pound. What operation do you have to perform? Multiplication. Because I'm going to pay 6.49 1.15 times, right? So multiply that and tell me. And it says round the answer to the nearest cent, because we don't have any coins any smaller than that. So you're going to have to say to the nearest penny, how much are you going to pay for that cheese? How much money?
$7.50.
Too much. You rounded it to the nearest dime. They want it to the nearest penny.
7.46.
7.46. You should have gotten 7.4635, and you're just rounding it to the nearest penny, which is the 6. So the 4 stays. You need to know, is that 6 going to be 46 cents or 47 cents? And it'll be 46. Now, if they said round it to the nearest tenth or the nearest dime, then it will be 7.50. Did you get that?
Not quite.
Hmm?
Not quite.
Okay. Did you get 7.4635?
Uh-huh.
Okay, where's your pennies? Which number represents
No,
the
I got
penny?
7.4605.
Oh, 05. Still, it would have been 46, not 50, if you're rounding off at the 6, right? The 0 would have kept it a
Oh,
6.
I see, yes.
But, do you see where you got the 0 instead of the, let's multiply it and see. We have 6.49. 1.15, right? Which number did you get wrong through there? You see where you made your mistake? In that case, though, if you still had rounded off to the pennies, you would have still got it right. You would have still got it right. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And these are the pennies. This 3 would make it stay a 6. Okay? Okay. On to the next one. It says 1 pound equals 0.45 kilograms.